everyone. Welcome to PAX. So this is the Building a Career on YouTube in 2020. So in this panel, we're going to be going over how all of us kind of, I guess, go about our daily lives, because we are all full-time content creators. I work with all of these gentlemen really closely. They're some of my best friends. And in this panel, we will be going over basically A to Z, everything in regards to YouTube. However, the most important thing for YouTube in general is always to have fun. So, with that, the idea is, for us, when making this presentation, we wanted to have it be something. Oh, there we go. Not that slide.
No, it's like we don't have it on the monitor.
Oh, it's not.
No.
Is it?
Oh no!
Oh, there it is.
That's
There we
okay,
go.
right?
We're good. Now we're
Fortunate. Okay.
We're good. Okay.
Show what we got.
Let's roll back.
I'm going to roll back so
Yeah.
you can actually see what's going on.
There you go.
It was Baldy Fortnite dancing, so, you know. That was the joke.
This is part of the fun we have.
Yeah.
Messing up.
So instead of having a corporate presentation, we all hopped onto Discord and just made this in
Whatever this
the most memey, but also it is, you know, obviously this is going to be premium information. Really, it is. So starting off, these are the people who are up here. So first off, we have Nintendo.
Hi, I'm Nintendo. I make videos on retrospectives and some how-to projects, some lots of Nintendo stuff. I like to cover like weird corners of Nintendo history, that sort of thing.
Then we have Nico BBQ.
Hey, I'm Nico. I made a video called Mario's Not a Hero 5 years ago, and I'm still getting hate daily about it. But mostly I'm doing challenge video nowadays, and yeah, that's it.
Then we have Tetrabit Gaming.
Hey guys, Tetrabit Gaming. I try to look at games differently, so whether that be it my Lost Bits series where we take a look at like unused content in games, or other challenge videos where I pretty much tackle like Super Mario 64 in very unconventional ways. Like I've played it with a Rock Band drum set, steering wheel, pretty weird controller setups.
And then we have Nathaniel Bandy.
So I never really know how to describe my channel because it changes all the time, but currently doing a lot of Mario Kart style videos. I do challenges, ranked videos. I've tried pretty much everything, so.
And then we have Chari5.
Hi, everyone. I'm Charai5. I, much like my friend Nathaniel, also have a variety of things on my channel, but I focus mainly on covering the narratives of video games and some mistakes that they may have made in a comedic way, and I still get hate for it because people take it way too seriously.
And then myself, I do a lot of gaming mysteries. So my online, I'm known as Swanky Box. Everywhere else, I do education about YouTube and things like that. So together, we are actually part of a group called Minus World. There's 10 of us total. We have 6 of us here today. And we really want you guys to kind of take in what we know, because we strongly believe there's more than enough room on YouTube for anyone to get involved. Don't feel like you missed the boat. You can start at any point. And a lot of, the best thing you can do is start today if you truly want to do it. So what we're going to be going over is a lot of stuff, a lot of things. You're going to hear things that are basically that we talk about daily, so that when you get to, as you start to grow, you're going to encounter these things along your journey, how to navigate them, because there's a lot of things on YouTube that people don't talk about. So, finding success on YouTube or getting people to watch your videos, that's like step one. But if you want to make it a sustainable career so you can do it every day, well, there's some things you're going to learn how to navigate, that you're going to need to know how to navigate going forward. And we're going to be talking about all of that today. So where do you start? Everyone starts feeling like their videos are trash. Everyone starts feeling like their stuff isn't good enough. That's where we all began. I mean, my first video was not anything special. How about you guys?
Yeah, I was, I think like 2011 is when I started to take YouTube videos seriously. I was just doing like basic kind of Let's Play stuff, and I had 2 cameras. One pointed right at the screen, and I cropped out everything that wasn't the TV, and then my other camera was a really itty-bitty iPod Nano, which was recording myself. So that's how I started.
I started back in 2008, and I didn't know what a capture card was, so I just pointed my camera at the screen, and it was just like a bunch of Sonic clips that I put together. And I don't know, I thought that would be a good idea to upload as a first video, but it's a stamp on there, and then it was bad.
Yeah, that's pretty much all of us filming the TV.
I started with Team Fortress 2 animations and then changed drastically in direction.
Yeah.
So the thing about YouTube is oftentimes you approach it and you think like, well, no one's gonna like this. No one's gonna like what I'm passionate about. But really, there's thousands, millions of people out there who probably are interested in the same thing. A lot of us, we create content based off of the fan things that we like. We're all we're all Nintendo YouTubers. We really like Nintendo. They might not be your jam, but there's gonna be other communities out there for any type of game you like to play. If you're not here for gaming, well, this applies to really any kind of path you take on YouTube as well. So what you like, where your passions are at, what you like talking about, what you like playing, that's always the best place to start because you do want to enjoy what you end up creating. Because if you don't, you're gonna find yourself, if you build an audience on something you don't enjoy doing, then it's
That's
no
how burnout happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you're gonna be burned out, but also you're not gonna enjoy what will eventually become your job. So be mindful of that when going forward. In terms of starting, there's a couple different types of content you can do. There's topical stuff, which is like very news heavy, like, hey, this just came out. So like, we're Nintendo fans. Animal Crossing debuted, a lot of, you could try the demo here at PAX. That would be good YouTube content because it's super topical. There's a lot of people searching for it. Even with a small audience, you can still benefit from that. Versus what a lot of us, what we do is called evergreen content, where it's content that's, no matter if it's now or in the future, it still has value. So a lot of the videos that we produce, it doesn't matter if you watch them today or if you watch them in a couple years, they're still gonna be relevant because they're based off of games and stuff that have already come out, and we're kind of playing into the fan bases that are there. And I think a lot of us, and correct me if I'm wrong, we all do plenty of both. There's value in both.
I think another thing to note is that with evergreen content, if that is your focus, it's going to be a lot harder to grow your channel. Yeah. So obviously, like topical trends, like there's disadvantages and advantages to both. For evergreen, it's going to last a lot longer, but it's much harder for people to find the video. And for topical trends, it's obviously you're probably going to get more viewership, but you might not gain long-term subscribers
You
from
kind of
that.
pigeonhole your audience.
Yeah, so like as an example, I like to try to do a little bit of both. So I'm probably going to make something for Animal Crossing, but I mostly focus on Mario stuff. Mostly because I really enjoy playing the games, and because Mario doesn't really die. He's one of the biggest franchises of all time. So I always find for anyone that's starting a channel, you want to try to do a little bit of both, evergreen and topical stuff.
And you never know when topical trends are going to turn into evergreen content as well. Because
Right,
I
exactly.
feel like Undertale, which is a game that came out 5 years ago, you could upload an
very
Undertale
popular.
video today and it would still garner a lot of attention. So it's like, it's something to always look forward to. It's always something to be conscious of. And you never know when something's going to turn to something else. But evergreen content is, very difficult to handle. Just on a channel itself. But yeah, always be mindful of both.
Yeah, and with starting out, another thing too is like, a lot of times you feel like, some people, they think they can only get into YouTube once they have the best gear, right? Don't let that stop you. You do not need to have the best gear in order to start. Not sure why this slide got randomly juxtaposed across, but
We're Mimi. We're not that Mimi.
but like you already have a camera. If you have a cell phone, use that until you can get a camera. Use you have a recorder on your phone, use that for a microphone. The idea is like use what you have. I mean, not everyone is gonna have the luxury of being able to pick up expensive equipment to make videos. But that's also the great thing about YouTube. Like the people who succeed on YouTube are the people who just like, I want to do this because I want to have fun doing what I'm doing, but also I just want to connect with other people. All of us start at ground zero. It doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. In terms of YouTube, everyone starts at equal footing. And that's kind of like the benefit. And honestly, I feel like for us, it's way more authentic when people, like, if you look on YouTube, there could be someone who's in a big studio, right? And they're recording, like, that's cool, but like, I feel more connected to the person who's sitting on their, their bed in their apartment because it's more honest. It feels more genuine, like I'm having a one-on-one conversation with that person. That's super important. So like, don't let the quality of your gear stop you from starting at all.
Yeah,
Because-
that's kind of the whole point of YouTube is, you're just being yourself. That's why people come there. They don't go there to watch, high production quality stuff. Some people do, of course. There's Saturday Night Live clips all over the place. But, there's a big, giant part of the YouTube community that just wants to watch really authentic people. So.
Well, I would like to say too that like don't let that scare you away from trying to improve your production values because
Oh, yeah,
Sure.
of course.
one of the
Yeah.
metrics that I like to repeat is I built on my channel in excess of 25,000 subscribers before I spent more than $25 on equipment. I had my old Galaxy S3 camera, I think it was, or the phone I was using for my camera. I bought two $7 gooseneck clamp lamps from Walmart for my lights, a key light and a fill light. And I used a Rock Band USB mic to record audio, and that was what I started with. So, yeah, there's something to be said for trying to improve your production values, even on a budget. It's quite easy, or quite possible, rather.
That's why my favorite bullet point is the last one, where it's like good is not equal to
Yeah.
expensive, because it's like people are going to return for your content. They're going to return for you. It doesn't matter like if it looks fancy or if it looks nice. Like I started out with Windows Movie Maker. Like I could layer nothing. I couldn't do anything, and like that just garnered a sort of attention until you could afford better software, until you could afford better equipment, a better microphone, a better camera. So it's like if people like your content, it doesn't matter what equipment it is you use, and that it's not always correlated to I mean, it's correlated in terms of visual quality, in terms of audio quality, but it's not correlated to entertainment quality, which is one of the more important things.
So starting out, obviously, do not let that limit you.
Yep.
As you move on, this is a great slide, guys. Thank you. So that's my face stretched to the 10,000% width.
He had a hand in that, by the way.
I did not this slide. But at some point, you will be able to afford equipment, right? So here are the recommendations for going forward when you do want to take that leap. Audio is the most important. A lot of our videos, I mean, honestly, I think even Bandy, myself, like, I have shown video of me in the past, but a lot of times you can get away with just, for gaming anyways, the gameplay cut up to a narrative, to your voiceover. Audio is always going to be the most important because I think all of us can attest to, if you're listening to the radio and then suddenly it starts becoming staticky or it's not the best, you tend to switch the channel, right? If audio is not, if it's not clear, it ends up becoming more distracting than something that might be poor visuals, right? If someone films something on their cell phone versus a high-end camera, something like that, like, you can still make out as a person. I mean, the quality has a factor to it, but what happens on YouTube anyways is, regardless of what you upload, if you're watching on a phone, it's taking your 1080p video, which is in HD resolution, and crunching it down to 360p, which is a very much smaller scope, so they can load on a phone without eating up all your data. So regardless, your video quality is going to get crunched anyways. However, your audio quality that is definitely the most important thing. So I do highly recommend investing in audio first. Some simple solutions, there are a couple different things you can do. There are things called lapel mics. They're probably the cheapest audio solution. You can plug them into your phone. They clip to your shirt. You can find them on Amazon. Sometimes they're called lavalier microphones. You can get wired units for about $20 if you go through Amazon or any kind of other vendor. That's the simplest solution. There are also USB-powered microphones that you can plug right into your computer, like the Blue microphone series. A lot of people use it, starting out Blue Yetis, things like that. There's a lot of us now, since we've been doing it for a while, use XLR setups, which is a microphone fed through an XLR into a mixer, then into our machine. That allows, you see a lot of podcasts use similar setups like that. That gives you the most control to your vocals. It also gives you a lot of depth to your vocals too, very clear voiceovers and stuff like that. So for audio, that's kind of your stair stepping. You can also get what's called a shotgun mic. Sometimes you see them, even people are filming on cell phones, it clips at the top. It's a directional microphone. It's called a shotgun mic because it is directional of everything in front of it, and it kind of comes out on a cone. So it's going to isolate the sound around you. So just to touch on one more thing, shotgun is also good, and also lapel, the clip-on microphones. Those are good if you don't have an ideal recording situation. If you have neighbors, if you're in an apartment complex and your downstairs neighbors playing their music, things like that, where it's more isolated to your voice, is going to be much better because you'll get clearer audio, and it's not going to basically pick up the music, which is going to get you a slap on the wrist on YouTube.
Think of it like Pokemon evolution. You start out with a Rock Band mic, you evolve into a USB, and then the final evolution is XLR. But there's also Mega Evolution, which is shotgun mics.
There's a lot of options, but definitely lead with that. In terms of cameras, start with your cell phone. Start with what you have. Your computer have a webcam, use that. Then you can upgrade. I use a DSLR. There's some people here use a camcorder.
Yeah,
kinda-
it's like a prosumer camera, in which obviously you don't have to have that, but I guess it kind of depends on the type of videos you make. I do a lot of longer form stuff, so I just find it's a little bit better to have a camera that's a bit more expensive than a DSLR, but DSLRs are also really nice to have. You can get, I actually don't know how much
Yeah,
DSLRs
they've
generally are.
gone
Usually under
down a lot in
Yeah.
price. But also, I guess something to consider as well is like, if you're into gaming, you also don't have to start with a camera. If privacy is a big deal, don't show your face on the internet. You can't take that back.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing where you actually don't have to have a camera. With that, if you do the camera route, then I think the thing that's actually more important than the camera itself is actually your lighting. Because good lighting can make a bad camera great, but you could have an amazing camera with bad lighting and your footage is still gonna look bad. Thankfully, lighting has come down a lot in cost. You can get a good studio setup for about $50 online.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that.
2 soft boxes, and then you're good to go. So those are kind of the sort of different equipments you're going to need. Obviously, utilize your computers that you have now, or see what you can come up with for a solution for that. It's hard to kind of price gauge computers because if you're doing high-end gaming, well, you're going to need something that's going to be able to run the high-end gaming unless you're doing it through the cloud, but also screen record at the same time. So that gets a little bit more technical, but the assets that apply to that are kind of those 3 things we just went over.
It sounds like a lot, but time goes by so quickly that you won't even notice, like, that you're gonna go through all those steps.
Yeah.
Right. So in terms of collaborations, a lot.
You're
of
looking
time-
at one.
Yeah. This didn't happen overnight. So one of the things about collaborations, and actually I'll let you guys kind of talk about this a little bit. Collaborations in general is like, often lead to friendships. I didn't know any of these people.
These chumps.
Only a couple years ago. It was
Dinglings.
we just all paired up for one video, and then we all clicked, and I'm like, wow, that was a lot of fun, and we just started talking.
Yep.
So what are your guys' thoughts in terms of collaborations and stuff like that?
I think they're massive. I think when I joined these guys, I was probably the lowest in the sub counts. And I guess I was just like, I guess commenting on people's videos is the best way to start. If you're looking to collab with a certain YouTuber, like I think I was commenting on Nico's and Nathan's videos for a while. Then one day, I guess they notice you comment enough, maybe. Like how I joined these guys, Nathan just out of the blue like messaged me on Twitter.
You just
He's
spammed them into submission.
Yeah, pretty much. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna be playing Super Mario 64 online in like half an hour. Can you make it?" I was like, "Oh, sure." Like ran to my computer and I was like, "Okay, I'll make this work."
I feel like most of us met probably through Nathan because we were around like 30K subs when like I got an email from him. He's like, "Hey, I like your content. Do you want to do something?" I'm like, "I don't know who this guy is, but sure." Like,
Yeah, well, I don't want to take all the credit for that, but
Well, yeah.
yeah. So I guess it kind of how we all met up. It did start where I found one of Naum's Sonic videos, and I thought it was really good. And I was about to make a Sonic video myself, so I went ahead and emailed him, and we did a collab. We ended up becoming friends, and then later down the line, I ended up emailing Nico because I found his channel. I thought it was really cool, and then beyond that, then I ended up meeting you actually. I don't know, probably about a year after that, and then it got to the point where there was a group of 10 of us. Obviously, not all 10 of us are here, but when I'm looking for collabs, I'm generally trying to find people that make sense for the channel. So I do a lot of Mario stuff. Sometimes I dip into Sonic, Smash Bros, things like that. So if I see someone's making videos that are similar to mine, and I think they have like a similar personality or similar vibe to the channel, then that's when I'll contact them and see, if something will happen.
Yeah. I think the biggest, most important thing on this slide is that there has to be something in it for both parties.
Right,
So if
yeah.
you're reaching out to somebody for a collaboration, make sure that you have something to offer them to their channel or their audience, something that's going to bring in more viewers. It's good to try to reach out to people who are around your same amount of reach to be able to just kind of share between audiences, like meet up with people who have similar interests to you and make it work that way.
Yeah, I guess like when it's like in it, I guess a good bit of advice. We kind of think realistically. Like if you're only at like let's say 2 subscribers and you're reaching out to like Ninja,
Probably won't work out.
odds are it's probably not going to work out. So I guess you got to kind of like build your way up incrementally. Like you can like if you're at let's say 100 subscribers, you could look up to like 1,000, 2,000, and then once you're up to that level, you can start looking up to like 10,000, et cetera.
Yeah, I started doing collabs around like 10,000 subscribers, and I remember the first guy, he had like I think 8,000 or 9,000, and then another guy had 12,000, and ended up working out. So yeah, the more subscribers I got, I mean, obviously it's not completely subscriber based, but that's a good
Yeah.
place to start.
Yeah.
That's where you'll have the most luck with finding collabs.
And keep in mind, these people that you're working with, when you all have small channels, those are the people that are going to grow to be your friends.
Absolutely.
If you build each other up, then when you guys all make it, then you have your circle of people. Then it's just kind of cool because you've all been there along the journey together. And I think that's really a good place to be, because otherwise you might find yourself in a situation where, like, you know, say you do get lucky and you break through, but then you don't have anyone who can kind of talk to you about the stuff. So it's always great to just, you know, don't be ashamed of where you're at. Like, feel free to just, you know, we all were small creators. We all had, you know, we started an account and then our family subscribed, and that was it, you know, a year. But like, so definitely keep that in mind.
It's been 2 or 3 years that I've known these guys, and I feel like I've known them my whole life. So,
And then, you know, as you continue along on your journey, you know, a lot of us, you start as, you know, a one-person show where you do everything. Eventually, you will find people as you start, you know, growing as a creator, and you start, you know, making it more sustainable for a living. You will eventually find a point where, like, you may start working with other people who can help you at the channel. You can offer them the opportunity to, and I think that's a cool thing too, is because, like, you know, now the success you found on YouTube can also be, you know, other people can help with that, and they can get involved with that. And I think that's also cool. So at some point, you're going to need probably extra help to do what you're doing. And this will happen when your channel gets to a certain size. Maybe you're like, wow, I'm producing a lot of stuff. I need help with editing. And then you may find yourself a full-time editor. You may find yourself a part-time editor, depending on, you know, obviously what you can afford and the type of, you know, the amount of work you need. Because a lot of us now, we utilize editors on different scales too. I mean, I have a couple different editors I work with. I have a lot of channels.
Yeah, we'll get into that later.
Yeah. So like, and I know you.
Yes, my editor is right here, John. So yeah, John's actually, he went full-time last year, and the thing about having a channel when it gets to a certain size is not everyone has to have an editor, but the output of videos that I do, I have 2 channels, and I upload once or twice a week on both of them. It's a lot to do it once, so he helps a lot. He's the only reason I can even upload so much, honestly. So for me, it makes sense, but it's not going to make sense for everybody.
Right. So then another thing. So in terms of the YouTube world, do not spend most of your time on your thumbnail. Truly, you would think that, like, oh, the video is actually the most important thing. I will always argue the thumbnail is the most important thing, because you can have
And
the
video
most-
title.
And video title. You could have the most amazing video there is, but if your thumbnail looks like that top right one, I mean, I would click on it. I'm not gonna lie, but you know, your thumbnail can detract from people clicking on the video. Like, there's a reason why people, you know, our eyes gravitate to certain thumbnails, right? You know, maybe the text is big, maybe it shows a large face. You know, there's a lot of science that goes behind it. You know, when you're scrolling, you know, when we typically talk to people, when I'm, you know, looking out in the crowd, I'm typically looking at your eyes. When we have conversations with people, we look at their eyes, right? When you're scrolling through thumbnails, a lot of times you don't know if you're doing it, but you're actually, is it the person on the thumbnail, your eyes are actually locking with their eyes. And that can make someone stop on your video and click on it. Like, they see, oh, I stop, this text on the thumbnail that tells me a little bit about what it is. Maybe the image is appealing. That then converts me to, like, okay, what's the title? So I check out the title. And then if those two are both, you know, good in my book, I click. That's kind of the journey of anyone who's scrolling, or and I think, like, you know, good thumbnails then get people to your video, but you also don't want to deceive with your thumbnail either.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a bit of a misconception to what clickbait actually is. A lot of people think that if the thumbnail is super appealing, that's clickbait. That's not the truth at all. So the slide says, intrigue but don't deceive. I believe that's something along the lines of what Casey Neistat said. Basically, what all that means is you want to make something, some sort of thumbnail that will catch someone's attention, but you don't want to deceive anybody. That's when you kind of run into problems. So
Like if
don't be
graphic-
afraid to make something that's, like, super interesting to look at. Even if it's kind of over the top, that's fine. Honestly, a lot of my thumbnails are pretty obnoxious, but they're not deceiving at all. Like, you get what you see, so.
If you want a good, I mean, we've all seen them online. the images that pop up on certain websites where it's like, this one trick works to weight loss. Like that stuff, or those weird, like, I won't say weather.
You know the ones.
Weather pads. Look at those. Those work. I'm not saying, those are deceiving as all heck, but it does not mean you cannot learn from bad I don't want to say those are even bad thumbnails. Those are good, misleading thumbnails, but they work. So you can learn from that and then make your thumbnails not misleading and make them accurate to what your content is. Then you can actually start, okay, so why does someone click on this? What is so cool about this image that draws this many viewers to the specific video? And you can definitely learn from that. And kind of we all have our own formulas too. So I'm going to give it to Drew here for a second to talk about, because he's kind of the one who shared this with us.
Yeah,
in
this
terms
is
of
a
how he
great
does his
guide to
testing.
making thumbnails.
Sure.
I use this all the time, actually.
Yeah, this was a guide that I had made for my Discord, actually, because I had a lot of people in my Discord starting smaller YouTube channels, and they were asking me how I design my thumbnails. And this is just like what I do. It's not necessarily like a golden rule, but this is just kind of my rule of thumb. I take my thumbnail that I'm planning to upload, and what I do is I size it down to about the size that you're going to see on YouTube. I think here I wrote 210 by 118 pixels. I'm not sure if that's still accurate. This is a little bit old, but just size it down to the point that you'd see it on the website. Remove all the color from it, so desaturate your image in whatever your image editing program is, and then give it a bit of a blur effect. And so what that does is it kind of simulates how someone might see your thumbnail as they're scrolling by quickly on their phone or through the site. If you kind of take away the saturation of the image and you're blurring it a bit, it can sort of simulate what someone might be seeing in their peripheral vision. And it also helps you to see, if you, like for instance on this thumbnail that you can see on the screen, the fake text is still clearly visible despite the fact that it's been completely desaturated and blurred. If you have text that kind of runs into itself, you might be able to say, like, this is a really bad example, but say you had like red text on a green background. Like you might be able to tell that, but maybe if you have colorblind viewers, they might not be able to see the text at all. You can desaturate it to see some of that, to see if you can pick out what the main objects are in your thumbnail. If you can still pick out everything that's in your thumbnail after you've gone through these 3 steps, then you should be golden. So.
I think on top of that, like color combinations are really important too.
Yeah.
So like in that thumbnail, you'll see there's red, green, and blue. They all kind of work together. Or if you put like orange and purple, stuff like that, colors that go naturally.
Complementary.
Yeah, complementary.
One of the
colors.
things I try to do is with every one of my thumbnails, I try to include, and this is just me, I don't know if all you guys subscribe to this, but I try to personally make sure that there is a true white and true black color on my thumbnail so that it has enough contrast. The range of contrast is the widest it can possibly be, because that helps to catch your peripheral vision when you're scrolling through the site. So.
Right, so think about like, also like, we were talking about complementary colors, right? Think about things you encounter on a daily basis in your life. Stop signs, they're red for a reason. We see them, we know as humans, red, danger. Okay, I should probably stop here. Think of color patterns in nature, yellow and black. We think danger, we might get stung. Certain color combinations make people stop and process, and it sends subliminal messages. You can utilize those colors to then amplify your thumbnails in a way that can, maybe if you're talking about something that is dangerous, maybe using the yellow and black would be a good treatment to that thumbnail. Alongside this, so when you're producing videos, trends. Trends are very important.
It's okay, you're allowed to
So
laugh.
in terms of the trends in the gaming space, so like a lot of, I had my breakthrough actually with the game Undertale. I was a huge Five Nights at Freddy's fan. I saw the way the internet kind of was reacting to this new game that came out, Undertale. But like no one was covering it yet. This is like the first month it came out. I was like, why is no one covering this game? I was in the middle of like a Banjo-Kazooie video. I'm like, I'm gonna try something different because I was doing Nintendo 64 content. I'm like, I'm gonna make an Undertale video because I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It reminded me of my old days where I spent my entire time in high school with RPG Maker and making my own little games. So that was actually my breakthrough. So like definitely trending games. Besides the games you see on here, there's also trends in general, like high search traffic. There's a lot of indie games. I will say one thing to avoid is also just 100% trend chasing, because what happens with that is like you're making super highly searchable content that people are looking for, but those people are there for the topic and maybe not for you. Some people stick around, but like once the trends die, you may find that your audience dies with it. So you don't, it's kind of like the forbidden fruit. Like you can take a little bit, but just don't take all of it. But that can definitely still help you break through. Like without Undertale, I probably wouldn't have found success on YouTube as fast as possible because even though maybe only 20% of those viewers liked my Nintendo 64 content, it still brought those people to my channel who then finally discovered that content that wouldn't have been there otherwise. Another thing is challenge videos. I think, in terms of talking about trends, we partook in something called challenge videos, which was kind of like a 2019 trend. I'll let you guys talk
Yeah.
about those.
So this is something that me, Nico, and also Tetra a little bit kind of partake in. You'll find that every genre on YouTube has specific videos that do really well. And for the Nintendo and also the gaming community, currently what's been really popular to watch is challenge videos. So as you'll see, I have my video, Mario 64 DS without Mario, and then we have Mario 3D World without touching a coin, and a Mario 64 Giant Mario. There's a lot of, what's interesting about challenge videos is that it's just playing the game again, but it's doing so in a really ridiculous way. Like if you've played Mario 64 DS, you're probably thinking, okay, well, you need Mario to fight Bowser, right? Well, it's actually not the truth. You can watch the video, find out how to avoid that. Basically every couple of years, the style of videos, like it's gonna change. Like a couple of years ago, challenge videos didn't exist, and a few years before that, that didn't really change either. So something that you wanna try to do is kind of stay with the trends, but only, you only wanna do so in like specific ways. So like, I do make challenge videos probably like once a month, but I also have several other types of videos. So that way, you can grow a bigger audience, but they aren't just watching one type of thing. So Nico's actually doing the same thing. He's swapped different types of series as well. And currently for him, he's doing a lot of challenge videos as well.
Yeah, I started with making coinless videos because I was inspired by Steve Gaming, and it did really well. And I actually enjoyed playing more Mario games, so I kind of did pretty much every Mario games without a coin. But then I switched to let's carry Luigi in New Super Mario Bros. U. Let's never let him go. Can we complete the game that way? So all sorts of crazy things like that. So yeah.
And that sort of goes back to what we were talking about earlier with evergreen content. This is sort of like a combination
This
of...
is kind of like both in
Yeah.
a weird way.
Because the
Yeah.
challenge itself is, you could call it a trend, but it's evergreen content in the game that you're playing. I mean, like, New Super Mario Bros. DS isn't new.
People love New Super Mario.
But-
Well, really, that's the cool thing about making Mario videos is that Mario was pretty much always going to be relevant. So if you like Mario games, then you can make whatever you want with it. And
Mario is eternal.
yeah, he's eternal. He will never die.
You will never...
So another thing that you're going to come across as you continue to grow, you are going to have fans. You'll eventually grow your own fan bases. You'll meet them. It's funny, actually. I met Drew first as a fan.
Yeah.
At a YouTube event, and then it's like now we're like best buds. It's interesting because like, but I was in the same boat too. Like starting out, I had the creators that inspired me enough to like I want to make YouTube videos, and then like when I got to meet them, it was super cool. And like eventually people, you can become peers to these people, but you can make the people you're starting out with, your own circle. It's kind of neat if you lift each other up. But eventually you are going to have your own fan base. And then with that comes fan interaction. Do you guys want to talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think all of us kind of take it a little bit differently. For me personally, I have my Twitter notifications turned off because people like to be mean to me, and I don't want to look at that every day. So what I do is I have a Discord server, and I will occasionally hop in and say hi to everyone, maybe like once or twice a week. I do also look at comments. I'll skim through them every once in a while, but it's a little different for everybody.
Yeah, I think a great way that some of us interact with our fans, again, there's Discord, but I think like streaming is a really good one. I think most of us consider ourselves more so like video on demand creators. However, we do stream once in a while. It's more of like a
Supplementary.
supplementary, but also it's more direct, I guess, to certain people. 'Cause you're seeing the content live. Someone can be typing in the chat, like Tongwa, he'll comment in the chat, and you respond to them like almost in real time.
Immediately,
so,
yeah.
So it's instead of like just writing a comment that creator may or may not read. In a stream setting, it's a lot more personal. I guess that's the best word of saying. It's like you can build that personal relationship better with a viewer, fan, whatever you want to call them.
Not to mention, I feel like with streaming, just as a tangent, I guess, A lot of us sort of put on personalities for our videos. We get a lot more animated when it comes to the production of it, when it comes to recording, and live streaming is a lot more chill depending on your type of personality. So you get the more visceral, authentic, thank you, personality from the creators, and that gives us an even better understanding of the person that we're watching, and it makes us like or dislike them more. But there's more interaction there with fans and followers, and you can even create more followers based on the content. Like I know that I've had followers on Twitch that like never even heard of my YouTube content, and like it bleeds into itself or together.
Yeah, and keep in mind, so what you're seeing on screen right now, this is from our perspective. When you're starting out, you will have time to interact with fans. But like eventually, I mean, you always, and we do try our best to interact with fans as much as possible, but like as you start garnering your own audience, like it can get unwieldy. I mean, every video you put out gives someone a new chance to comment.
To that point, like one rule of thumb that I like to use is no matter if you have 10 subscribers or 10 million subscribers, for my rule of thumb is I personally take 1 hour after I upload a video to go through the comments that come through the woodwork, and I will go through and respond to ones that are adding to the conversation or add a heart to comments that, you know, are adding their own perspective or something.
I'll usually check comments after the first hour just to see what's going on.
So no matter how many subscribers you have, that's a time that you can set aside when you upload a video to interact with the community. And that can make the difference between somebody who watches one video and somebody who comes back for every one.
Right.
And keep in mind, like, everyone on this panel has hundreds of thousands of followers, so it's like we can't interact with everybody, unfortunately, so it's like everyone has a limited amount of time, and we want to give people a fair amount of time as well, so it's like...
Right. So we have a couple, we're going to power through some of these next slides real fast, just because we do want to have a chance for you guys to come on and ask questions as well. So obviously, you have to make a living on YouTube. That's very important. You can make content for fun, but like if you want to do it, you know, and put your all into it, eventually it probably will become your job, if you choose to make it your job. So we're going to talk about how people make a living on YouTube. So first off, YouTube, the way it works is when you become a partner, there is a split. Creators take 55%, and that YouTube gets 45%. This is for the ads that show up on your video. So in terms of how this works, when you're accepted as a partner, after 4,000 hours of watch time and 1,000 subscribers, which that's a whole other conversation of getting to that point, the way you make money is through different types of ads that load on your videos. You have the ones you can click and exit out of. You have what are called display ads, which appear next to your video. You have pre-roll advertisements in both skippable and non-skippable forms. And then all of these have another category, just so you know, that are based off of what's called auction and reserved. And that's basically if someone's going and wanting to buy ad space on YouTube, they can choose specific channels they want to run ads on. That's the reserved. So in terms of payment scale, you earn more money for the skippable ads and the non-skippables. And also you earn more if they're reserved versus the auction, typically. And that's not always the case. CPM is what's called cost per mil. This is how much you earn per 1,000 views. And it has a big range, depending on if you're close to the holidays, if you're at the beginning of the year when a lot of people aren't running a lot of ads. Gaming typically has an average CPM of about $2.50 to 10, and that's a big it's a big fluctuation rate. Just for that math, so hypothetically, if a video has a CPM of $5, 1,000 views equals that $5, right? But then you still have to factor in the split that happens on top of that. So
And the use of ad blocker too.
Right.
So even if those 1,000 views were all people using ad blocker, that's $0. So
Yes.
So whitelist us, please.
So another thing, sponsorships. That's Nico.
That's my cue. So yeah, we want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends.
Which is not actually our
We're joking.
That's a joke.
I'm sure you guys have
Maybe
heard
next
that many times. Your sponsors are a big part of what we do because it allows us to work with brands one-on-one in a way where we are able to earn a better livelihood through working through these sponsors and creating little ad slots in our videos that then empower us so that if CPM tanks because a lot of people decide they want to pull out because of a scare on YouTube or something, like sponsors are what allow us to keep going when, because the average monthly income for a YouTuber, it fluctuates. based off of how your videos do, what kind of ads are loading. There's a lot of factors. So sponsors are great because they're supplemental income. And they're very good for, in terms of expanding your business, but also just in general it's like, TV, where most people want, when we watch TV, like there's ads. This is kind of a way where at least we can choose who we want to work with in that capacity, and we're never going to work with people that we don't really, believe in. With that comes a stock handshake photo. Sponsorships, in terms of when you guys get to a point, you have to know what you're worth. You have to know what, because for yourself, you want to sell yourself in a way where it's like you're not underselling so the company's not going to take advantage of you.
Yeah, so I think before you move on, I just want to say that when I started doing sponsorships, I got really badly ripped off in 2016 because I didn't know what my viewership was worth. And then as it started to get bigger, I started to talk to bigger and bigger people, and they were kind of explaining to me how all this works. And it's really actually pretty important that we're talking about this today, because I think there is it's very hard to understand what you think you're worth. So it's good that we're kind of covering that.
So, and I'll kind of just do a quick, because I want to move along just so we have enough time to ask questions. Negotiating is hard, because if you've never done it before, you're going to try to let them make the move first. They'll send you an email saying, hey, we're looking for this, here's the price. You do not have to accept that price. You can say,
say
hey,
no.
actually, I'm looking for this amount. So you guys know, if someone was running an ad on YouTube, the lowest that they could pay for that ad is 1 cent per view. And they're not going to get any views out of that, because they're only going to get maybe 300, 400 views a day out of that, right? So when you're farther along on your journey on YouTube, know that, because they're going to try to sell you maybe even under that. But you have to know that they're working with you because it's actually a better situation for them. When you encounter an ad online and you don't, you have no relationship with that company, right? We are not going to work with companies that we don't believe in, or that they're not vetted. We're not going to have you sign up for something that's bad, generally. I mean, that's because as soon as we burn that trust, then you guys aren't going to listen to us anymore. We betrayed you guys, who are the reason why we're up here. So that's something to definitely take note of. And it's going to be hard to figure out what you're worth. We're going to talk about real fast in terms of some gaming metrics. And some, you might see these and you might think they're high. I mean, really, but the truth of the matter is, if these companies were running these ads themselves or hiring media companies to produce these ads and put them out there, they'd be paying a lot more for this, because they'd be paying the overhead for all the employees at the media company plus the markup. And that only gives them the video. They don't even have distribution. So typically in the world, you'd buy and have a company produce the ad slot, and then you have to pay Google or any of the social sites to then put the ad slot out there. It's leagues more expensive than any rate that anyone's going to work with. And the things in here, like asking for these rates, you may not get that rate. So this is just some stuff. So we talk about CPM. For an ad slot, shoot for $20 to $30. Why not? I mean, that's really what you're worth, truthfully. And you could even go higher than that later down the line if you really grow a great audience and you feel like that's what you can go after. And if you also have a team to support, Nathan
Right,
has a
exactly.
full-time
Yeah,
employee.
I try to
So,
get a sponsor deal at least once a month if I can, just to ensure I have enough to pay for my employee. So sponsorship's definitely important for me. So yeah, there's 3 kinds. There's CPM based, which is what you were just kind of talking about. There's flat rate, which I usually go with just because it's simpler. So I'll say, okay, averaging this many views, I'll ask for X amount of money, and then I usually ask for more because they're always going to come back with less, and then generally I get a decent deal out of that.
And then there's what we call CPI, and it's labeled on here as a bad one. It can be good if you have, if they're offering you a good rate for it. But typically, I say don't do those, because that's typically like affiliate. Because if you make the ad and then no one buys, then you still did all the work for them, and they're still benefiting because people may buy in the future. So you be careful of that, because that's a typical approach you might get hit with. In a way of doing free or very, very low cost work for someone, because a lot of times when you make this stuff, it's going to be online forever. and then you don't know when someone's going to find it and if it may influence them to do something.
Yeah, and just to clarify, that's like you get paid per install of an app or per sale of an item on a certain website.
And we say that because if you have merchandise, which is your own product line that you may make, that's the same thing. Really, it truly is. So I'm going to speed through these next slides because we got 15 minutes left. If you guys don't mind, I'm just going to drive the whole thing.
Yeah, go for it.
So we have merchandise, which we're talking about. A lot of inside jokes in the channel. They make good merchandise. If you have a couple sayings on the channel, I think you have a "It's Not Melee" shirt. I don't know
That's
what
right.
that's a joke from their
That's from
channels.
my channel, yeah.
Doing limited run campaigns with merch can also help too, because like you can print a certain amount, but it also creates more demand for the product. Merchandise is great just because it is just your fans investing in you. Patreon/membership/fan funding. Whether you go the Patreon route or enable channel memberships on YouTube, this is another way that fans can directly support you. It's also another way you can generate another income stream. And then you could do specific things. Maybe you have like once a month you have a stream just for your fans who are in these programs. You could do names in the credits of videos. There's a lot of different things you could do with that. Social engagement with Zuckerberg. So like alongside of creating on YouTube, you're going to have all these different social channels which you also have to operate. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, if you're an epic gamer like Nico over there. For us, I mean, we talk about this, like a lot of times we're just sharing memes. I mean, a lot of times we're sharing funny moments online because like...
That's what people really want to see on sites
Yeah.
like Twitter. Like I'm just posting random stuff most of the time.
Yeah, so 60% memes, 10% video updates, 40% crappy opinions. That adds up to 110%.
Because you have to give 110%.
Yeah, that's all the time.
Second channels. So this is something that eventually you may find yourself. Our main channels take a long time to make.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Okay, we're toward the end.
Yeah, you don't.
fine.
So second channels. I have a gameplay channel. I have a horror video game channel. Tetra has a second channel where he does unboxing other game things. Nathaniel Bandy has a Nathaniel Nandy channel where he has an alternative personality where he does more gameplay-oriented things. A lot of us have second channels, and this allows us to diversify. Oh, it's back. Diversify what we do. My second channels, they might get more uploads than my main channel. My main channel videos take longer to make, but if you want to do Let's Plays and stuff later on, this allows you to do that.
Diversify
Let's
your
Plays only
portfolio.
starting out is almost impossible, but with that, we're finally at Q&A time.
Hey.
We made it.
So if you guys,
You guys don't mind lining
yeah,
up at this
just
microphone
at this
here?
microphone right here, buddies. If you have any questions, which apparently we do.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Yes, you go ahead. You should probably leave it there. They put it.
It's just going to be this mic over here on the right side of the room.
Yeah, just the one mic. Yep.
Thanks for coming, those that are leaving.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a good PAX.
You're epic.
There we go.
Yep.
I have a question for most people after, but like right now.
Okay.
How would you recommend like starting out if you have absolutely nothing?
Nothing as in regards of
No ideas on where to start.
look for other channels for inspiration. Like you obviously probably watch content on YouTube, tune into specific channels that you like. Oftentimes there's even room.
I have too many.
There's a lot, yeah, but like of that category, I
Pick
would write
one.
down your interests of the things that you like different your topics or games you like playing.
Labs, right?
I'm sorry.
Labs is a good idea for him, no?
Well,
Like for example, like when you have a few thousand subscribers, you can partner with someone that has a few more, and it grows from there.
Yes.
Kinda like how you guys do.
But if
Okay.
you're starting at absolutely nothing, collaborations is not a great place to just
No.
when you're breaking
Yeah,
out.
you got to get your footing.
But the
I
number
only have 25 subscribers, to be honest.
The number one thing I would recommend is to look to the channels that inspire you and look at the videos that you wish they would make and then fill that gap yourself. So that's the way that I would do it. That's the way I started.
Okay.
thank you.
Oh, it is my turn. Okay, sorry.
Thanks for your question.
Because I actually have a lot to say, well, a lot to comment on, because I'm a little older, so I work on different communities. But even so, it's like, mainly I just want to say that, how do I say this? Sorry, I got a little bit of the nervous bug.
It's all good.
Fine.
But yeah, generally in terms of feedback, is something I want to know too, is that you'll get a lot. people will say nasty things to you, but you want to make sure you get the message. You know, people just avoid all the BS and get the general message. If someone's upset about something, don't take it personally. There's a message there, and just take it with stride and say, okay, this is my message. I need to get across. Do I want to do this? Yes or no? And just stick with what you want to do. That's the main thing.
I think you're going to come across haters regardless of what you do.
Well, yeah, of
However,
course. I mean, it's.
But I think
I know
I ended up,
myself.
one of my first haters ended up, he was
Well, I mean,
hateful
there's-
because of, he actually had, he wanted his own channel to be successful. And that's why he was
Yeah.
so vile, because he saw my channel pop off. And like, so he wasn't really actually mad at me. It just was, you know, had a bad home life and a lot of things. So like understanding sometimes where people are coming from is important.
Also, another thing to note is that you know a good idea is not to, because I actually experienced this myself, but I'm not going to tell you who I am, but it should be obvious when I say it. But if you're an edgy brand, don't partner up with game companies. You'll get them in trouble. So
Sure.
Yeah.
yeah, that's another thing. And one more is that sorry, nervous bug again, but in general, just try to be true to yourself. You know, get that message. You know, don't take things too personally, and yeah, just. And focus on Sega Saturn. That's a good meme that's trending right now. Because Sega Lower Decks actually is growing a channel now, so he's getting pretty popular. And focus, I would say right now, Saturn's a good trending meme. So that's all my advice for everyone here.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just.
No, all good.
Thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
good?
Next question.
Hello. I was wondering, I know click-through rate and average watch time are really important metrics to keep an eye on. I was wondering how you guys deal with analytics on your channels, and if you guys had any other. This is a loaded question. Sorry. If you guys had any other, just like comments on that.
I will do a quick rundown of the most important things for YouTube. Click-through rate is definitely important.
Say watch time.
Watch time is
very,
also,
very important.
there's one
Yeah.
that's actually almost just as important as watch time, if not more important, is retention rate. Retention rate, you want to aim for people sticking around at least 60%.
Yeah.
The thing about the retention rate, which is good, and actually you can have a video pop off that's like 2 or 3 minutes long because people watch 90% of it.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't garner a lot of watch time, both those kind of work in tandem with one another. Obviously, if you have a long video, but people watch the entire thing, YouTube's gonna be like, yes, please watch. But like,
This was a good one.
definitely, you want to structure your video in a way where if you're doing a tutorial or something, you don't want to like finish a tutorial or something halfway through the video and then have like 10 minutes of you just rambling on after that, because you're shooting yourself in the foot. People are going to leave once they immediately know the answer. So structure your videos in a way that makes sense informationally. Don't drag it on longer than it needs to be, but do keep in mind that those metrics are what influence your videos to be recommended.
Just a follow-up question. Do you guys ever work with people who look at your analytics for you or things like that, or is that something you guys do specifically alone?
I used to be one of those people who, I'm a huge analytics nerd. I've worked with a lot of different channels of all sizes, channels that have tens of millions of subscribers to people who are starting out. So, yeah, I'm a really big analytics nerd. So the stuff I just gave you, definitely look into the retention rate stuff because it is super, super important. And there's a lot more. We can talk a little bit more outside.
I would love to,
On a
yeah.
kind of one-on-one basis, though.
All right, sweet. Thank you very much.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
the question.
Hi, just a couple of questions. Do you guys do your thumbnails alone, or do you have someone do them for you?
That's a great question. So usually we'll make our thumbnails alone, but we're in a Discord server, and sometimes if we're feeling like self-conscious about our thumbnail, we'll throw it into the chat and we'll say, okay, guys, how does this need to be fixed? And usually one of us within 10, 30 minutes will come in and we'll offer suggestions. Another thing that I know that I think you do a lot, as well as Tetra, is we'll make multiple thumbnails,
Yep.
and then we'll kind of have us vote on what we think is the best option.
Yep. And YouTube is about to roll out an A/B testing system where you can actually upload more than one thumbnail.
Two at once, yeah.
nice.
And have the algorithm test it for you to see which one's performing better and push that one more often. So
Okay.
it's good to have a few options.
The only one's more just general inquiry. Your channels and everything like that, was this something that you wanted to do for fun, or was this something that you always went in with like deliberately with a business mindset?
Absolutely. I would say 95% of those that find success are those that are just doing it for passion, doing
So-
it for a hobby.
I wanted to be an animator, so like, I'm doing gaming now.
Yeah, the thing with YouTube is if you start where you think you're going to make a lot of money, you're very likely not
You're gonna get
going
burnt
to
out in
get
a
to
week.
that because it takes a long time to really build up a channel. So yeah, definitely you got to be passionate about it.
Yeah, I
So-
think a lot of people start off as a hobby. For me,
Most people do,
I feel
yeah.
like I had to do it because I tried it like 2 or 3 times and it failed. I mean, failure is a subjective word, but like it took me 2 or 3 times, and then I basically had a midlife crisis. I'm like, I still want to do this. That thought's not going away. I'm like, so I basically had to do it. For me, it was I guess a little bit different because I knew it was my calling, and I just
Yeah.
some reason
So
do
like
that.
I was too stubborn to quit because I was very stagnant for a long time, and yeah, there's lots of people that would tell me I couldn't do it. Even my parents at first were like, "This is probably not the best idea. You should finish college." I did finish college, but like the last semester before college, I said, "I'm just going to go for it," because finally my channel was starting to pick up after several years of time, and ended up working out.
Yeah, I ended up, and the other thing is, I was mentioned, I wrote an entire book about this stuff. But people, I want people to be able to like take it, read it, and then have 0 questions and be able to create. And that was my goal because when I didn't have it when I started. But for me, it's like I knew I had to do it, but I also wanted to give people that thing. So if anyone wants a book, I'll also be in the hallway for that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for your question.
Next one.
Hey guys, first off, great panel. A lot of really
Thank you.
good information, so thank you.
Thank you.
Second question, or I guess first question. So I just graduated from college. Me and my 3 friends, we wanted to stay in touch, so we created a YouTube channel. Great way to stay in touch.
Oh boy,
Oh, might cut up.
5 minutes.
We can probably hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, so we wanted to make some more content. We wanted to, like, create the channel, and I became the editor, which was a bad idea, but now I'm the editor. You said sound is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
We are all in different places, so we're using Discord for chat, which works.
Sure.
But Discord can cut out, and it's not the best for audio. So I was wondering if you had any suggestions to how we can fix that audio problem.
Everyone record locally.
Yeah. Does everyone have mics? Yeah. So what you can do.
Yeah, you got to sync it with your
Yeah.
gameplay with
Yeah.
like menu movements, stuff like that.
Yeah, so you can use just Audacity. It's a free program where you can just record your microphone, and then to sync everyone's audio, you can just do either a clap with gameplay or just say 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, we do all our stuff through Discord, so we can hear each other in real time. But we all record locally, and we all sync up by clapping. Like okay, like Nathan clap, Drew clap, and then that way they can hear it on our other audio, and then when we compile them all, that way everyone has crystal clear audio, regardless if Discord cuts out or not.
But
Yeah.
wouldn't you hear the Discord audio in the recording as
No.
well?
We're
No,
all-
you have
we're all
headphones
wearing
on,
Discord
most likely.
headphones
Yeah,
That
we do the
shouldn't-
sync before anything starts.
And that
you
should
just
not
cut it
bleed
out.
through to your microphone, because if it does, that will be an issue, yeah.
But you can also use the Discord audio, hypothetically, if you record that as well, to then line up all the other audio.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yep.
Thank you.
No problem.
That's our channel.
Thanks for coming.
Hello, you guys.
Hi.
Hi.
So as I take content creating more seriously, I'm a person where I soak up everybody else's opinions and where that will influence how I feel like I should act. So how did you guys, or how would you guys deal with kind of continuing to be yourself as authentically as possible without letting that get to you? Because it's easier said than done.
Absolutely. It's definitely a balance, and I think that probably Drew and I are like the ones that are most like that, and that we soak up the opinions of other people and think that we should shape up. The thing is, it's easier said than done, but like you kind of have to ignore that a little bit and just do what you want to do. Take comments like that in stride, and take in the positives. Like if they're telling you like, hey, you could change this, it's like, okay, well, change that, and maybe it's something good. But if it's someone just being negative for the sake of being negative, it's like you can just ignore that, and it
Yeah,
becomes easier over time.
I would just draw the line at constructive criticism. If they're trying to help, if they're being polite about it, maybe take their stuff into account if they have a good position. If they're just trying to tear somebody down, it's gonna.
There's no point in
You'll
giving them
eventually tune it out.
attention.
It's just a constant for everybody.
I will also say, keep in mind, we're all dudes.
Oh yeah,
no,
that's another
I say
thing. Yeah,
that-
that's true.
No, I say that because we are going to get the least
Yep.
toxic stuff out of anyone online.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, our advice is going to be skewed because we're not going to be, I mean, obviously we've dealt with toxic things, but like to the scales of toxicity, and also to your question is like, we are, unfortunately, there are people who are going to come and be negative.
No
more
matter
so
what.
than what we get. Yeah, and then so just you gotta not let that affect you. I mean, I know they're talking about you take their criticism, but like there are going to some people who are going to try to correct you and do things when that's not really, you know,
That's easy
don't
to
let
ignore.
that shape
Yeah.
you. You are you, and don't let anyone else take that from you.
Guys, so much.
Absolutely.
So anyone else has questions, we do have to exit the room. Stay in line, and we're going to go slide right out, and then you can talk to us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Hit the last slide.
Thank you all
Thank
for
you
coming.
so much.